Okay, picture this. A terrible scenario, really. A major city, say New York, maybe Washington, suddenly hit by a nuclear weapon.
Devastating.
Totally. And the immediate question, beyond the horror, is what happens next? Does the country just take it? Accept defeat?
Or does it strike back?
Yeah.
With everything it has?
Exactly. And flip it around. What if Moscow got hit? Would Russia just stand down? It's these terrifying questions that actually lead us to some really critical military thinking.
Absolutely. And the concepts that really answer this are, well, the nuclear triad,
Mm-hmm.
and even more vital, second strike capability.
Right.
And these aren't just jargon, they're the actual principles, the foundation, really, that are meant to stop a global nuclear war from ever happening.
So that's what we're diving into today. We want to unpack these ideas, look at the nations, the few nations that actually have this power, and try to understand this really complex, frankly scary balance that somehow keeps the peace.
Paradoxically, yes.
Okay, so let's get into that bedrock idea. Second strike capability. It sounds terrifying, but you're saying it's key to prevention. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, absolutely. So second strike capability, it's basically a nation's ability to launch a massive nuclear counterattack, even after they've been hit first by a huge surprise attack.
So it's like, you hit me, I guarantee I can still hit you back just as hard.
Exactly that. You can destroy me, but I'll destroy you too. That's the message. And the crucial part, the absolute key, is making sure not all your weapons can be destroyed in that first hit.
How do they do that?
Well, they need to be hidden, or really well protected, or maybe constantly moving, so that enough survive to launch that retaliation.
Okay, so that capability, that guarantee of hitting back, that's where the nuclear triad comes in. It's not just a cool name, it's essential for this.
Precisely. The triad is how you ensure that second strike. You spread your nuclear weapons across 3 different types of platforms.
Land, sea, and air.
Land, sea, and air. That's the triad. The logic is, well, it's grimly simple but effective. An enemy might manage to take out 1, maybe even 2 legs of your triad in a first strike.
Right.
But it's incredibly difficult, maybe impossible, to get all 3 at once. So the third leg survives and delivers that devastating counterpunch.
Creating a kind of security circle.
That's a good way to put it. A security circle that deters anyone from attacking first, because they know the result is mutually assured destruction. MAD.
Right, MAD, you hear that term a lot.
It's the inevitable catastrophic outcome.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. You'd assume lots of countries have this, but you said only 3?
Only 3 nations currently have a full operational nuclear triad.
Yeah.
The United States, Russia, and China.
Just those 3. Wow. Okay,
Right.
let's start with the U.S. What does their triad look like?
Well, the U.S. obviously has the history, right?
Yeah.
Developed the first bomb in 1945. Today, they have something like 5,277 warheads, with around 1,700 actually deployed, ready to go.
Hooray.
Their land-based leg relies on the Minuteman III ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles. Over 400 of them.
And they're hidden?
Yep, kept in these hardened underground silos, spread out, very tough to destroy. They can hit targets 13,000 kilometers away, basically anywhere.
So that's land. What about the sea?
For sea, they use their Ohio-class submarines, 18 of them. Each one carries 20 Trident II missiles.
20 missiles per sub.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Each missile can carry multiple warheads, so one submarine launch could potentially hit many different cities.
That's staggering.
It is. And crucially, for that second strike guarantee, they always have at least 2 of these subs out on patrol, deep in the ocean, totally hidden. Continuous at sea deterrence, they call it.
Undetectable, right? And the air leg.
Air power includes the classic B-52 bombers and the B-2 Spirit stealth bombers.
Ah, the stealth ones.
Exactly. The B-2's big advantage is its stealth technology, designed to slip past radar and air defenses. And they're not standing still. The new B-21 Raider is coming online for nuclear and conventional missions, and they're even modifying F-35 fighter jets to carry nuclear bombs.
So they've got this massive capability across all 3. What's their official policy on actually using them? Would they strike first?
Their official stated policy is nuclear deterrence. They say they won't strike first.
Okay.
But, and this is the core of deterrence, they make it absolutely crystal clear that any attack on or their allies will trigger an uncompromising, overwhelming retaliation.
Got it. Deterrence through guaranteed response.
Precisely.
Okay, let's move to Russia. You mentioned they have the most warheads.
That's right. Currently, Russia holds the largest stockpile, around 5,880 warheads.
And their triad, how does it compare? Land-based first.
On land, their most powerful weapon is the RS-28 Sarmat. We in the West tend to call it Satan II.
Satan II, that's quite a name.
It is. It can reportedly carry up to 15 warheads and has a massive range, 18,000 kilometers. It can reach pretty much any spot on Earth.
And they have something else unique, don't they? The hypersonic one.
Ah, yes, the avant-garde hypersonic glide vehicle. This thing is fast, like Mach 20 times the speed of sound. But the real challenge is that it can maneuver unpredictably while flying that fast.
Making it hard to shoot down.
Extremely hard. Current missile defense systems would struggle to intercept something moving that fast and changing direction. It's a real game changer.
Okay. What about their submarines?
Their main sea deterrent comes from the Boré-class submarines. Each carry 16 Bulava missiles, and again, these Bulavas can carry multiple warheads each.
And like the U.S., they keep them hidden.
Yes, constant secret patrols. That ensures their sea-based second strike capability is always ready and survivable.
And for the air component.
They use the 295 MS bomber, a real workhorse, and the Tu-160. The Tu-160 is, well, it's the world's largest and fastest supersonic bomber. It carries long-range KH-102 nuclear cruise missiles.
So Russia definitely has a robust triad, too. But their thinking, their doctrine on when they might use these weapons is different from the U.S., right? You mentioned something interesting there.
Yes, it's quite distinct. They have a doctrine sometimes called de-escalation through escalation.
De-escalation through escalation. That sounds contradictory.
It does, doesn't it? But the idea is, imagine Russia is involved in a large-scale conventional war, and maybe things aren't going their way.
Okay.
Under this doctrine, they might consider launching a limited nuclear strike. Not necessarily aiming for all-out nuclear war, but using one or a few nuclear weapons to create intense psychological shock and pressure.
To force the other side to back down.
Exactly, to force a de-escalation. But on terms favorable to Russia. It's a very high-risk strategy, obviously, using the ultimate weapon to try and control a conventional conflict.
Wow. That's, yeah, a different approach. Okay,
Yeah.
Third member of the Triad Club, China. What's their situation? Fewer warheads, you said.
Yes, significantly fewer, maybe around 500 warheads currently.
Right.
But, and this is important, their triad capabilities are improving very, very quickly. They're investing heavily.
So they're land-based missiles.
Their main long-range ICBM is the DF-41. A key feature here is that many of these are launched from mobile platforms, like large trucks.
Making them harder to find before launch.
Exactly. Much harder to track and target compared to fixed silos. And they have the range to hit pretty much any continent.
And their air power.
Currently, they rely on an older bomber, the H-6K, but they're known to be developing a new stealth bomber, the H-20.
Another stealth bomber.
Yes, expectations are that it will be very advanced, maybe comparable to the American B-2 or the upcoming B-21. So that'll be a huge jump in their ability to project power globally.
And the sea leg for China.
Their current nuclear submarines are the Jin class, carrying JL-2 missiles. Historically, the range of the JL-2 is seen as a bit limited compared to U.S. or Russian submissiles.
But they're upgrading.
They are. They're developing the JL-3 missile, which is expected to have a much longer range and better accuracy. That would significantly boost their sea-based deterrent, making their subs a more credible second strike threat.
So China's catching up fast. What's their official stance on using these weapons? Do they have a policy like the U.S. or Russia?
China's official policy is quite different. They have what's called a no first use policy, or NFU.
No first use. So they promise not to start a nuclear war.
That's the official pledge. They state they will never be the first to use nuclear weapons under any circumstances. However, they also state very clearly that if they are attacked with nuclear weapons, their retaliation will be, and I quote, merciless.
So a clear defensive posture, officially at least.
Yes, that NFU policy is a major element of their declared nuclear doctrine, setting them apart from the U.S. and Russia's more ambiguous or conditional stances.
Okay, so that covers the big three. Now you, the listener, might be wondering, what about other countries we know have nuclear weapons? India, the UK, France. Do they have the full triad too?
That's a great question. And the answer is, no, they don't. While nations like India, the UK, and France are definitely nuclear powers, they don't maintain a complete triad in the same sense.
How so? What are they doing?
Well, take India. They're certainly advancing quickly. They have their Aryan-class submarines coming online for sea-based deterrence, the Agni missiles for land-based strikes, and they're working on air launch capabilities with their fighter jets like the Su-30 and Rafale. They're building towards it, focusing on regional deterrence.
Okay. And the UK?
The UK has made a strategic choice. They rely almost entirely on their submarine force, 4 Vanguard-class subs, for their nuclear deterrent. It's basically all sea-based.
And France. Similar?
Similar, yes.
Yeah.
France also centers its deterrent on submarines, the Triumphant class, but they supplement it with an air component, Rafale jets carrying nuclear cruise missiles.
So what's missing for the UK and France to have a full triad?
They both lack land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles. That's the key difference. They've decided, likely for strategic and cost reasons, to focus their resources on the sea and, for France, air legs, which they see as survivable enough for their needs.
Right, so different strategies based on their own situations. Okay, we've gone through the who and the how. Let's get to the big question, the really unsettling one. Does all this nuclear triad system, actually make the world safer? Does it prevent war? Or is it, paradoxically making things even more dangerous?
That is the central debate, and honestly, there are very strong arguments on both sides.
What's the argument for safety? How could this possibly be safe?
The argument is that the triad, by guaranteeing that second strike capability, makes the cost of starting a nuclear war unthinkably high for everyone. No rational leader, the thinking goes, would launch a first strike knowing their own country would be completely obliterated in return.
So MAD keeps the peace.
In a terrifying way, yes. It arguably prevents large-scale wars between the major powers because everyone knows where escalation could lead. It creates a stable, if deeply unnerving, balance.
Okay, that's one side. What's the argument for it making things more dangerous?
Well, the critics argue that relying on this kind of system massively increases the risk of accidental or unintentional global annihilation.
How? Like a mistake?
Exactly. Think about potential technical malfunctions, computer errors, cyber attacks on command systems, false alarms from early warning systems,
Or just a miscalculation?
or miscalculation, or even the possibility of an unstable leader getting control of these weapons.
Mhm.
Any of those scenarios could trigger a catastrophic chain reaction that wasn't intended.
So the system designed for stability could actually cause the ultimate instability.
That's the fear. It's a system where stability rests on a knife edge, dependent on technology working perfectly, and humans always making rational decisions under immense pressure. And, history shows that's not always the case.
It really is the ultimate paradox, isn't it? This idea of peace, or at least the absence of major war, being maintained by the absolute guaranteed threat of total destruction.
It is. It's complex, it's chilling, but it's the reality of the global security system we've built.
So what does that leave us with?
Well, it really forces us to confront a profound question, I think. What does it actually mean for humanity's future when our global stability hinges on our mutual ability to annihilate each other? It requires this incredibly delicate balance, constant communication, arms control efforts, and just a deep understanding of how fragile it all is.
It's definitely something to think about. We really encourage you, the listener, to keep exploring these issues, the implications of this incredibly powerful, yet incredibly fragile global security setup. It truly affects us all.